And welcome to the Sydney Football Stadium. This is it for the Knights and the Bears. A grand final appearance is the prize for one of these two teams today. Manly and the Roosters to do battle tomorrow. And this one, Newcastle, their 10th year in the Premiership, looking for a first ever grand final appearance. Paul Vorton, let's go through this Newcastle lineup.
Yeah, the fullback is Robbie Davis. The wingers are Albert and Hughes. McDougall in the centres with Owen Craigie. Matthew Johns the 5'8". Andrew Johns returns after injury. The lock forward is Mark Glanville. Richards and Muir in the second rowers. Butterfield and Harrigan in the front row. And Billy Peaton, we believe, will pack in at hooker and dummy half, coached by Malcolm Reilly.
And now the North Sydney Bears lineup. It'll be David Fairley, who drops out of the side.
Yeah, Matt Sears is fullback. Brett Dallas and Nigel Roy on the wings. Benny Eichen in the centres with Butner. Florimo's the 5'8". Jason Taylor halfback. Lock forward is Billy Moore. Danny Williams replaces the injured David Fairley in the second row. Gary Larson joins him. Josh Stewart, Steve Trindle in the front row with Mark Reaver at hooker, coached by Peter Louie.
And it's the Bears who are coming out. Jason Taylor, their captain, the leading point scorer in the Optus Cup this season. The North Sydney side, they have been in a situation just like this one 4 times in the past 7 years. On the 3 previous occasions, they have fallen at the final hurdle as they bid for an appearance in the grand final. Maybe it'll be a different story today. Last year, it was St George who knocked them out, 29 points to 12. Billy Moore, one of the more experienced members in this North Sydney side, a veteran of Origin football. It should be mentioned, we had quite a significant storm here that lasted for some 20 or 30 minutes. Plenty of rain around about 80 or 90 minutes ago here at the stadium. Thankfully, it has cleared up for kickoff. David Fairley on the bench. That ankle injury still a problem for him. One would think he'll only be used if necessary today. And Kelvin Jeffes, the referee for this one. David Manson will have control of tomorrow. It's down to Jeffes or Manson for the grand final as far as the referees are concerned. Crowd up over the 20,000 mark for this one. Robbie Davis returns for the Knights, as does Andrew Johns, but there is a big question mark on Andrew Johns. Suggestions he does have a fractured rib. So for the first half, it is North Sydney from left to right. The side that has won only 2 premierships in their 90-year history. And Mark Glanville comes back for Newcastle and puts Williams on his backside with the very first hit up of the match. This Knights side today, if they do lose, it's the last appearance for Adam Muir. It'll be bittersweet for him because it is the North Sydney Bears. That'll be the club he'll be joining next season. Harrigan got his first touch almost back to the 30, now O'Davis. And Mark Glanville off to England. Completion of duties this season. First kick of the day for the Knights. Johns down the centre of the park. It's a big boot. Sears is back almost to his own goal line. Now the Newcastle chase is right on the money. First man there is Craigie, but Sears is away. North Sydney are finding some space early. Back to the 30-metre line. The Johns brothers combined in the tackle and have conceded the penalty. That's a confidence-boosting start for young Matt Sears. Yeah, great run for Matt Sears, and that's what he can do to you, this kid. He likes to stand his opponent up and get on the outside of him. On that occasion, Owen Craigie just went in a fraction too early on him. Didn't get close enough to the body to tackle him. Also joining us in commentary today, Phil Gould, Roosters coach, as he prepares for tomorrow. Phil, your prediction for this one?
Well, I've liked Newcastle all year, but the wet conditions certainly bring North Sydney back into the game. Just an interesting change here as we see a penalty to the North Sydney side.
Kelvin Jeffes calling the Newcastle chaser out of the line, so Taylor a kick for him from 35 metres out.
There, Andrew, as Taylor lines up this shot at goal. Brett Clements for the Newcastle side, the hooker, is out injured this week, and rather than going for Lee Jackson, the experienced Englishman, to come into the side as hooker, Malcolm Reilly has elected to play Billy Peaton in the hooking role. Now, Newcastle have got off to a poor start the last 2 weeks. He's looking for a better start today, and he's moved Matthew Johns from 5'8" into hooker to use a bit of dummy half work early in the game. I think he'd like to keep it nice and safe. They were down 12-0 against Manly, 18-0 against Parramatta. He'll be looking for a better start, and then Lee Jackson will be injected into the game sometime during the first half.
Taylor 4 from 4 last week in the round 1 clash against Newcastle. He had an 18-point haul, 2 tries, 5 goals. In fact, Norths have beaten Newcastle twice this year. Taylor, 35 metres out for first points of the match. He hasn't struck it at all well for Jason Taylor. And O'Davis back from his own dead ball line and is stepping away from Dallas. Robbie O'Davis. A 30-metre kick return there for the Newcastle fullback. And now Peden. Matthew Johns this time will go to dummy half.
Well, that's a huge bonus for the Newcastle side. Normally they'd be expecting to be kicking off right now, but instead of that, they're 40 metres out from their own line. A great run from Robbie O'Davis. Battle of 2 very, very good fullbacks here today.
Butterfield cut down in the tackle there of Ben Eichen. Cleanly shaven head for this finals fixture. Matthew Johns kicking, threading a nice line down the touchline. There's a chase. It's Albert coming through. It goes into touch. Sears is thankful. A big sigh of relief from Matty Sears.
A great piece of play there from Matthew Johns, the ad-lib kings. Matthew and Andrew Johns. He just saw some space down there. Sears was up just behind the line and tried to utilise the incredible speed of Darren Albert and nearly got there.
And on the sideline for this one, Steve Roach. I know, Blocky, you're pretty keen on the chances of the Knights.
Yeah, I like the look of the Knights. I think they're too powerful for the North Sydney side, but North Sydney will come back in it in the wet. There's only one other change too to the program. Alan McDougall was said to play in the centres. He'll play on the left wing. Mark Hughes will actually play in the centres today for the Newcastle Knights.
North Sydney away from their own 20 now. Eichen feeding along there for Buettner. Buettner gets over the 30-metre line. Good ball and all tackle from Craigie. He went around the waist and was able to prevent Buettner from offloading. Dallas may have been caught just a little higher. Crunching tackle from Adam Muir. Now Larson again, some heavy treatment from this Newcastle pack. Giving it everything in this first 10 minutes. Now a North Sydney player left behind. There was a rush up from Muir. Also a chance to get the kick away from inside the 40. Taylor stepped over that 40-metre line and has picked out Robbie O'Davis. Trying to link up with Albert. Ben Eichen up there first on his Queensland Origin teammate. And now Hughes with possession. Mark Reber again replacing Mark Soden in this North Sydney side, making the tackle. The Chief, Paul Harrigan, outstanding last week against Manly. And now Newcastle with a penalty 15 metres inside their own half.
He has been so strong for them, Paul Harrigan, over the last 3 to 4 weeks. He's been running hard and straight. Every time he gets the ball, it's taken 2 and 3 to pull him down, and looking for the quick play of the ball there, gets a penalty for the Knights. It's been touched, though, by Brett Dallas.
And the ruling there by the touch judge that Dallas leapt from the field of play, got a hand of the ball. Oh, hence Newcastle will have a scrum feed.
Sometimes I think that's not penalty enough to the side who has failed to find touch from the penalty restart. They still get an attacking opportunity from the scrum.
One now Glanville to the right with Matthew Johns. And O'Davis feeding on for Craigie. That little skip as he receives the football. Now 25 metres out from the North Sydney line. The full left side to work with. Peden shuffling a roll along there for Richards. Now 20 metres out from the Bears line. They continue to come left. Andrew Johns delivers the pass for Muir. Now 10 metres out. The man in the tackle was Greg Florimo. Now Peden with Andrew Johns for his brother Matthew. O'Davis is lurking there. He's with it now. Robbie O'Davis stepping away from 2, then for Andrew Johns. Through traffic, wider there for Matthew. And Newcastle 5 out from the line on tackle 5. And in position for the kick is Andrew Johns. He's got plenty of chases on the left side. A ricochet. Norths have lost it. Newcastle back in possession. That is a try to O'Davis. No doubts about it. Newcastle is on the board. The North Sydney players stood back. And Robbie O'Davis just stuck through for a 4-pointer.
Well, what's happened there? Some good concerted play there from Newcastle, but it's a freakish kick. It bounces all over the place. And I thought that North Sydney had that covered. They dived on it there. And then it's just come loose. And O'Davis picked it up. No North Sydney defence. And he's doing the dancing. Our man Robbie. I thought he was going to put that one up high. He had plenty of defence out wide. Is it Jason Taylor, the man who fumbles the football? And let's watch Robbie O'Davis. He's got it going, Robbie. Here.
Well, that try from the kick. Robbie O'Davis, there was just a slight doubt about his pickup. But Jason Taylor had it covered. He had it smothered. And slipped out. Andrew Johns with a kick from right in front. A checkered year for Andrew Johns. Injury and also suspension along the way. He's here at the right time of the season, even allowing for the fact he may have that fractured rib. So Johns successful with his first kick of the day. And Newcastle lead the Bears by 6 points to 0. Now back with Jason Taylor for North Sydney. 6 points to 0. That try to Robbie O'Davis, the Andrew Johns goal. Mark Lanville with it. The Newcastle side. We were in a similar situation a couple of years ago, a chance to make it through to the grand final. And now Harrigan. This is a good return from the try being scored. They're already almost back to the 40 now with Matthew Johns. And his brother in support. In fact, it was Richards there waiting for the pass. Now Peden in a dummy half. They're 5 inside their own territory. Andrew Johns kicks from the 40-metre line. Sears has a chase here. Well, this will be interesting what they rule. Did that just brush the corner post? Touch judge says it has found the line. The kick came right from the 40-metre line. And Jeffes is going to rule on North Sydney's feed. I'll
tell you what, I'm not sure if when he kicked that football he was inside the 40. I thought as he kicked it he stepped outside. And yes, he has ruled he kicked it outside the 40 there. His left foot as he kicks the ball is outside the 40. So normally they would get the scrum feed, Newcastle, but not on this occasion.
Close call all the same. Taylor here for Dallas. Coming back infield. Craigie up there in defence again. A thrill for young Owen Craigie, the youngest player in this side, just 19 years of age. The grand final appearance beckons. Billy Moore back to the 30 for the Bears. Reba pushes to the left. Larson again. The treatment in defence. That was Butterfield that time. Larson rocked back on impact, and then they go for the big hit again. Hughes ended up with a tackle. I think it was Muir who was unsuccessful. North's last tackle. Here was the challenge on Danny Williams. Muir missed. Just a glancing blow. And now O'Davis back to his own goal line on that kick. It sits up for him from his own in goal. First man through is Florimo. You're tipping with your heart. It's hard to say who you would favour today, the north side or the Newcastle team, as McDougall gets the Knights out of their own 20. You think of players like Florimo, you'd love to see him in a grand final. As Harrigan runs straight and hard for 15 metres. And on the other side of the ledge of the Newcastle Knights, the city of Newcastle, their supporters, they have been so parochial as always this year through some rather indifferent weather conditions. Knights making good ground now inside the North Sydney half. Last tackle. Back for Andrew Johns. Kicking high this time. Matt Sears, can they find him under pressure? There's chasers coming through. It's Billy Peden. He lined up Sears, and that's a courageous take from the Bears #1.
Yeah, wonderful take there from Matt Sears, who every team has tested since they've been in these semi-finals. Especially the Roosters tested him and found him wanting a couple of times a couple of weeks ago, but he took that one well.
Now Jeffes has found a knock on here. And the man getting to his feet to play the football. Scrum feed to Newcastle, 25 metres out from the North Sydney line. I'm sure he's ruled the man who was playing the football. Stewart has lost control and getting to his feet. There certainly didn't appear anything wrong with the pickup of Nigel Roy. And Newcastle with Johns for Craigie. Again, that jump to the North Sydney 20-metre line. They lead by 6 points to 0, the Newcastle Knights. Andrew Johns on for Butterfield. Butterfield able to offload in the tackle. Back for Pete and then for Matthew Johns. There's some real danger signs here for the Bears. Big tackle, comes back for O'Davis. 10 metres out from the line with Hughes and then Matthew Johns. Back to the left with Muir. Muir running at Billy Moore and Florimo. Now just 5 metres from the line. Peden in a dummy half. Matthew Johns. Some of the outside backs are up quickly for North Sydney as Andrew Johns tries to slice his way through. Craigie at dummy half. Well, what has Johns done there?
He's knocked it on.
Well, it's a penalty. You can't play the ball forward anymore under the current rules. And I think Kelvin Jeffes has forgotten, and so too has Andrew Johns. He's put the ball down and tried to tow it through. Now, that is illegal under the current rules in rugby league, and both Johns and Kelvin Jeffes have forgotten the new rule.
The ruling from Jeffes was that it was his impression that Johns had knocked it on first. Watch the replay. There was no doubt he was trying to play it forward. Now North Sydney from inside their own 20. Florimo. Right arm, fair bit of padding there as now Larson has copped some heavy tackles early. There's been plenty of defence from the Bears so far in this game. This penalty will certainly help them out of a spot of bother.
Yeah, we'll forgive Kelvin Jeffes here, but I don't think we can forgive Andrew Johns because he had every intention of playing that ball forward. As we see here, Kelvin Jeffes very strict in the play of the ball. Adam Muir hanging on just too long. And North Sydney get a relieving penalty. It's only early in the game, but I think North would like to be next on the scoreboard. They gave away big leads to Parramatta last week and reined them in, but I think it's a different story against the Knights today in such an important clash. And they are a confident side. It's Billy Moore.
And now 25 metres out from the Newcastle line. Bears now. Can they have the Newcastle side on the back foot as it comes across for Taylor? Then wider for Florimo. Fed on. Moore standing wide. And Matthew Johns did well with his brother Andrew in defence. Back infield for Trindle. Contained 10 metres from the Newcastle line. In search of their first points. Taylor again. Stewart was on the inside. Taylor holds it up. Sears is up in the line for the Bears. Jeffes had played advantage. Ruling Newcastle offside.
Yeah, the referee was calling players out left, right and centre saying stay out of it. But when you're that close to your own line, you can't stay out of it. They were penalty and Taylor. They'll have a shot at goal. There's a better set of six there from North Sydney. They had a nice bust up the left-hand side and found some space out around the right, and they've come back with a nice cut-out play and a move there, but Newcastle all offside.
See Kelvin Jeffes saying to the Newcastle players, get back on side. Now, they claimed after the penalty they couldn't hear him. He said, if you can't hear me over the crowd, that's your problem, not mine. Good break here from Danny Williams. He's an underrated player, Danny Williams. Can find a bit of a bust, a very quick play the ball. Can sting a little bit in defence as well. Replacing David Fairley, and he can't be too good, David Fairley. You wouldn't leave him on the bench in a game like this if he was right.
Taylor would be bitterly disappointed with his first attempt. Failing to kick it dead, failing to land the goal from in front. This time successful. So the Bears are on the board now. The Knights 6, North Sydney 2. 15 minutes gone. And Steve Roach on the sideline being very impressed with some of this tackling from the Newcastle forwards early.
Yeah, I think they're just being out-muscled at the moment. Muir's having a magnificent game so far. He's going for the big hit every time. I just think there might be a little bit of a short ball on the outside for a couple of the North players if they can play those sort of ruck plays.
The Bears with Williams after the restart. Butterfield with half a throw in the tackle. Plenty of assistance also from Harrigan and Peden. And Ben Eichen. Harrigan again comes up with a tackle. North Sydney just outside their own 20. Newell went around the chest in that tackle. He's fired up. Already the club he will join in 98, the North Sydney Bears. The tackle's gone for North Sydney, almost back to their 40. Williams deciding to float on there for Florimo, almost on the outside of his man. Good tackle from Glanville. And a quick play the ball to follow from Florimo. Kicking is Taylor on the last. He's found a gap between O'Davis and Albert. And O'Davis is able to keep the ball in the field of play. Robbie O'Davis from his own 10-metre line. Roy and Eichen. Eichen driving O'Davis back for 10 metres. Bears supporters like that one. It was good work from O'Davis all the same to keep it in the field of play, and now McDougall held up by Stewart. This was Robbie O'Davis attacking the football.
Yeah, lucky that Darren Albert was there to help out, otherwise he could have ended up behind his own try line.
Matthew Johns wider with Butterfield.
It's amazing in tackles like that where they let you drive him back 10 metres. If that was near the sideline, he'd have called held and then penalised if you threw him into touch. Different rules in different parts of the field.
Last play here with the Newcastle Knights. John's kick, big boot over the Bears' 10-metre line, and it pulls up beautifully for Dallas from his own in goal. Craigie leading the chase for the Newcastle side. Fletcher is now on the field for Newcastle, also in 15. Richards made the tackle on Dallas. There's another player under an injury cloud. He's had back problems for a lot of this season. Brett Dallas, aggravated again last week. Doesn't quite seem to be playing with the same zest. He's got some sort of brace at the base of the back that he's wearing in this match. Brett Dallas. Billy Moore tackled 15 metres inside their own half. Still the Davis four-pointer, the only try of the match. And a bit of luck in that try as well. McDougall at the end of this North Sydney kick. Confronted by Eichen. Held up. Made a good start defensively today. That was Buettner in the tackle, but Ben Eichen has done well so far in this game. And Newcastle in possession on their own 40. Here is Craigie. Across with Andrew Johns. Then on for Richards. Short of halfway. 6 points to 2. Glanville in possession for Newcastle. Deciding to straighten up the attack. Billy Moore over the top there. Adding his shoulder to the tackle. Andrew Johns inside ball for Muir. Waiting was Larson. And now the last play for the Newcastle Knights, back with Matthew Johns from 30 metres out the kick. Sears again called to arms for North Sydney. He was taken out of the play, Matt Sears. Bears get the penalty. I'm sure Jeffes is right. Yeah,
silly play there from Andrew Johns. Had no intention of going for the football or hanging off to make the tackle. He just went in on Matt Sears and took him, virtually took him out of the play.
Was the Johns kick. Matt Sears just taken a second before the ball had landed. In the meantime, Kelvin Jeffes has found a discretion here. I tackle the caution on Troy Fletcher. And Tomery, who's on for North Sydney.
And Tony Butterfield has assumed the captaincy while Paul Harrigan is off. Listening to the referee's report there. Incredible penalty count. 6-1 in favour of North Sydney.
The most unusual thing about that is North Sydney have actually done more defence, if you can work that out. Of course, 2 of the penalties, Taylor took shots for goal. Now North's with good field position, 35 out from the Newcastle line, right in centre field. The left side, long ball there and taken beautifully in defence. That's great work from Hughes on Eichen. And North Sydney stay on the attack with Roy. 5 metres out. There's the total tackles. Almost 3 sets of 6 the difference for North Sydney. In defence, Peden sliding across field to tackle on Williams. Then Taylor having to switch it back to centre field for Buettner to come up with a kicker. Davis has got a bit of a chase across. Albert's the man who flies high. Albert comes down with it for Newcastle. It was in the field of play, then pushed back in goal, so a line drop out for the Knights.
Yeah, well, you couldn't land a bomb any more accurately than this. Michael Buettner said that Albert does very, very well to get above the pack and take the ball, but then pulled back into the in goal. Had he been in his own in goal, they'd have got a 20-metre tap. Now they're forced a line drop out. And another set of 6 defence. And looking all right, the Bears, when they get the ball wide.
And now a short drop-out try. Well, there's a fair deal of chance in that. They fielded it before the 10-metre line. Will someone explain what was the idea of that? Leading by 6 points to 2 at this stage of the game, they have conceded a penalty.
Well, it's something you might do at the end of the game with 3 minutes to go if you're behind, but I can't understand that. I don't think Malcolm really will be understanding it either. Gus, how would you be feeling if one of your players did that?
Well, mate, that's the way they play, the Johnses. They chance their arm, don't they? They just, they're here to play, and that's the way Malcolm really has them all year, and they win a lot of games doing it. I suppose, had he picked it up or had the ball gone into touch and they got the loose head of the field, they've really avoided some defence there. So they took the odds. That's what great players do. Sometimes it comes off, sometimes it doesn't. How's that, Fatty?
Well handled.
Point defence. Newcastle 6-2. 22 minutes gone, and Taylor right in front. 12 metres out. Taylor bangs this one over. The margin is now back to 2. 6-4 here at the stadium. The Knights over the Bears. Set to come back into this game. Andrew Johns on the restart. North Sydney with Ben Eichen. And now Williams. This is a very impressive game from Danny Williams, making the most of his chance. He didn't get to his feet to play the ball under the attentions of Billy Peden. Just allowed play to continue. Let's take a comment from the sideline. Blocker Roach.
Well, it's great for Newcastle to be enthusiastic as they play all the time, but just some dumb penalties and also kick chases really let them down offside and really let Norse back into this game in the last 20 minutes.
Penalty count is 7-1 for the North Sydney Bears. And Taylor stumbling through a gap as Richards had to go low in the tackle. It's the last. Kick is back for Robbie O'Davis. Nothing doing with that one on his own 10-metre line. A bit of room to come back as well for Robbie O'Davis, and he makes 15 metres. Mistake-free game from Robbie O'Davis, who has scored the lone try of the game, is now Darren Albert. Gets past 2 defenders and back to halfway. It's an untidy defence from the Bears close to the ruck on Darren Albert, and Fletcher is with it. Newcastle to the North Sydney 40-metre line now. Andrew Johns, blindside shot here with Matthew. Shape to kick and then turn the ball back for Scott Conley. This tackle count rising up to 9. It's Harrigan just ricochets off. One tackle and offloads for Conley. And he's taken to ground by Eichen. Conley has lost the ball. Jeff's rules knock on against Newcastle. But what about the hit up of the Chief?
Good stuff, Brenton Pomeroy. It's like a 10-pin and a bowling ball. And away goes the 10-pin, and the bowling ball keeps going.
Stewart on for North Sydney. Ball has gone to the bench. Wide up, Paul Harrigan. Happy with the scrum. He gets what he wanted. Remarkably, they look like the first scrum, as Dallas is held up. 15 metres inside their own half. Caruana on. Played a big role last week, Caruana, in the comeback of the Bears against Parramatta. Remarkable work in the lead up to a few of the Bears' tries as well. Larson on halfway. 40 metres out. Taylor 2 goals there, tally today. And he's with it now across. Coming across then for Buettner. Buettner kicking. The moment he received the football, O'Davis on the scamper across. He's got it covered. Buettner needs to make the tackle. He misses. Dallas is there though as well. So Buettner trying one of his own, kicking for himself.
You can tell that Brett Dallas isn't fit just on that kick. When Buettner kicked it, Brett just virtually couldn't sprint. Normally he'd have been first down there. But he's out to giving his best, a little Reddit. Champion Queenslander.
Newcastle with it on their own 20 now. Matthew Johns, and Harrigan gets another run. He's looking out for a North Sydney defender right now to bump away. Now Newcastle receive only their second penalty of the match. And Josh Stewart. Just a shake of the head.
Well, that's what he can do to you, Paul Harrigan. He'll knock you off one moment and then you come back and try to stand your ground the next, and he wins a penalty. He invites you into physical competition, and quite often he'll come out on top or he'll draw the penalty for his team. Really matured as a player over the years, Paul Harrigan.
And this is Fletcher. Twisted in the tackle of Josh Stewart. Peden across with Andrew Johns. And for Conley. Going into a two-man tackle. Waiting for him was Gary Larson, along with Caruana. Matthew Johns fires that ball out wide for Muir. Muir to the 20-metre line. Again, Peden a dummy half. They come back to the left this time. Andrew Johns at second receiver. He had Connolly running an angle inside. Johns was almost through. Quick play the ball for O'Davis. Newcastle with Johns the kick. It's to the in-goal and Sears covers it up. The in-goal judge hit the deck. But it will be a line dropout for North Sydney this time.
There's the ad-libbers once again. Had some men on the outside but decided to put it in behind, but it's been pretty well read by North Sydney's Matt Sears. Players slipping everywhere. The in-goal judge went down. The crowd went up.
Oh, caution, Kelvin Jeffes. Florimo out there and Taylor as captain.
They really keep you guessing, the Johns boys, don't they? I don't care what tackle it is. If they're floating across the field and they think you're up in a straight line, they'll nudge the ball in behind you. Fellas like McDougall and Albert, especially on the other side of the field, very quick, and they really keep your wingers nervous in defence. You know, a line dropout situation here, they do have plays where they go to the middle of the field and kick on the second or third tackle for their wingers. They've already tried a couple behind. Will they go there again?
Taylor the line dropout as far as Robbie O'Davis, right on halfway, and back come the Newcastle Knights with Richards picking his angle, picking his run, contained 30 metres from the North Sydney line with Peden. And what a success he's been this year as a running forward today, having to take the role of dummy half, sharing it along with the Johns brothers, is now Glanville running inside off the Johns pass on the North Sydney 20. Setting themselves to the right. Peden for Andrew Johns. Johns runs it alone, chips over the top of Sears. He's taken out of play. Well, Sears might find himself in the sin bin, but I'll tell you what, it might be a try in any case. Peden was trailing through. The in-goal judge likes it. It's a try to Newcastle. They've got their second. Well, they were all looking at taking Johns out of the play, and like the first try, a man has come from nowhere to score. Billy Peden has got this one.
Andrew Johns, just have a look at the size of this gap that he's got to run to, though. No defence there at all. And Matt Sears took him out. He might have even thought about giving a penalty try, but even then, they couldn't control it. And Peden gets the ball down.
There was the kick over the top from Johns. I still think Sears has to go to the sin bin for his attempt to prevent Johns scoring a try.
Was running through taking the ball, all right? So you do the next time, do the right thing, Willie, all right? There you go.
Well, Sears, I think he's lucky.
He's just got out of it. Kelvin Jeffes wants him to do the right thing for him.
Well, that's extremely lucky. Extremely lucky. As we said prior to the line dropout, they will chip kick or grub a kick on second or third play. That was the third tackle. They stacked the outside of the field. And a yawning gap up the middle for Andrew Johns, who chanced his arm with a chip kick. And Matt Sears extremely lucky. Extremely lucky to be still on the field. Any tackle, the Johns boys. They'll kick on any tackle.
6 points is the lead. Johns to make it 8. Andrew Johns successful. He's played his part in the lead up to the 2 tries, so 12-4. The Knights over the Bears. The situation here, Kelvin Jeffes coming to the sideline.
Someone called Ross upstairs to open the window up. All right, so they're asking for someone called Ross.
Well, he's getting a few problems, Kelvin Jeffes, in his earpiece. He's looking for some bloke called Ross.
Yeah, Ross wants a couple of schooners up there. Kelvin can't deliver.
We get this a lot at the Sydney Football Stadium. I know on the two-way mics when you're coaching, you do get a lot of it.
The back of the stadium. Taylor with a restart for North Sydney at 12 points to 4. Kelvin Jeffes is having trouble with his on-ground communication. Newcastle. Confidence. Right now, a step closer to a grand final appearance, to a first grand final appearance for the Knights as Harrigan. He went low as he approached the North Sydney defence. Now they're kicking before the last tackle. There's a fair bit of work to be done here, but it's out on the full. Well, the tactics were right, but the execution wrong for Newcastle, and it's put a bit of pressure on them as well.
Yeah, they're pretty kick-happy today. A couple have come off, a couple haven't. Just one that hasn't, but as Phil Gould said, they keep trying things, and no doubt the more that Andrew Johns has the football in his hands, the better Newcastle's chances are today. And he does look wounded. He's taken them on only a couple of times and looks to be protecting those ribs he hurt last week.
And Icon at 5'8" from that scrum. North Sydney with it, 35 metres out from the Newcastle line. Fairley is out there now for North Sydney, and he's hit low and hard by Conley. Playing his part, young Scott Conley. North Sydney, Taylor, inside ball. They were waiting the defence. Just coming across from marker. Not quite happening for the Bears at the moment. Again, Icon with the ball in his hands. A loose pass, a wayward one from Icon. Knocked on by Dallas. And Newcastle will have a scrum feed, an error from the Bears after only 3 tackles.
Yeah, Brett Dallas's back pain's well documented. And this isn't the way to find out if he's right. A loose pass across the field, and Brett Dallas really tender about getting down to that ball. Comes up with a simple knock-on, and another let-off for Newcastle. North Sydney aren't punishing Newcastle for their mistakes.
Holding this ball on, North Sydney have to be penalised. They're broken from the scrum. It was smart work at the back. Glanville had it trapped in the scrum. Johns wasn't about to pick it up, and, well, all of 3 North Sydney, the entire back row had broken from the scrum.
Yeah, he put that one down to Malcolm, really. That's a coaching penalty. He would know that North Sydney break quickly, locked that ball up in the scrum, and got themselves a relieving penalty.
Butterfield, the halfway for Newcastle. Appeal from dummy half Peden saying the Bears are slow to roll away. Johns then for Harrigan. Harrigan running hard again. North Sydney this time able to handle the Knights captain. And Matthew Johns turning there for Muir. So often the recipient of the inside ball from either Andrew or Matthew Johns. Matthew with Andrew Johns, then Conley. Conley bumped into one, but at the same time hit the deck. Quick play the ball, though, for Johns. He's got Butterfield on his inside, gets that kick through again. Sears is back and sliding towards the end goal. That's where he finishes up, and Jeffes has ruled it will be a line dropout.
Smart play again there for Matthew Johns. I think what they've realised is with the rain around, the ground is quite dewy, it's quite slippery, and even with kicks like this, if the ball finishes up a metre out, some strong defence will force them back, and that's what's happened to Matt Sears.
Fanny, they played this way if they were playing in the car park. I don't think... I mean, to us it would seem like the logical thing, but they just love to kick the ball down short sides with these fast wingers, and their Sears had no chance of keeping the ball in play. And again, another line drop out here and another great attacking opportunity. What do North think? Are they going to kick on second and third tackle, or will they go for us out wide? Newcastle have got them guessing.
This time Albert met in the tackle of Billy Moore and Gary Larson. It's getting, well, not quite at the desperate stage, but another try for Newcastle. It'll just about be there before half-time. The Knights are 30 metres out. Andrew Johns decides to run. There was a man slipping. That was Larson had come out of the line, and suddenly there's a gap for Johns. Now 15 metres out from the line. Peden there for Matthew. O'Davis is with it for the Knights and crunched in the tackle. Just 5 metres out from the line. Caruana was the tackler. Now Matthew Johns. There's another kick. Craigie comes through. Newcastle, no try. No try this time to the Knights.
Oh, there was another kick and very nearly another try. Being forced out by North Sydney, so they'll get it back. What's this, the 4th tackle? Beautiful stuff. Butterfield's chasing, so is Craigie, and Brett Dallas went through the Tane barrier to get there on that occasion. It's great to watch, isn't it, Gus? Just these two Johns boys weaving their magic.
Tremendously talented footballers. Interested in a replay of that, however. I don't think that Dallas tried to force that ball. Looked like he tried to knock it dead, and the last touch came off a Newcastle player. Could well have been a 20-metre tap to North Sydney there. But here come the Knights again. North Sydney. What are they going to do, the Knights?
Inside the final 5 of the first half, and Conley is with it for Newcastle. Fairly over the top. Time and possession heavily weighted in favour of the Newcastle Knights. Matthew Johns, there back for Peden. Andrew Johns is with it. Then put down by Muir, who was getting that inside run. He'd sighted a hole, but North Sydney are with it with Ben Icon. And the Bears off the hook. They come up with some magic of their own before half-time. One-sided for the last 4 or 5 minutes. Fairley is in possession. Matthew Johns went low on the tackle.
The Bears need a good period just before half-time. This 5 minutes here or 4 minutes left in the half. They can't give Newcastle another shot at them. and they're not making Newcastle do enough hard work. I can't remember the last time Newcastle had to ruck the ball out of their own half.
Larson was the man at dummy half. The Newcastle defence is aiming up. 36th minute, as it was in the first and the second. As Norths get the kick in on the last, McDougall is the man on the left wing for the Newcastle Knights. He's got a chance to link up with Robbie O'Davis. He'll decide to take on the defence. Adam McDougall hold up short of the 20. Davis here for Craigie. Most unusual of Gates when he receives the football. He gets his little jump in the air. Now Glanville wider for Albert. Trying to stand up. Roy was able to offload in the tackle. Newcastle gets some second phase play. Hughes is the man coming back infield. Stewart over the top. He goes to the bench for the Newcastle Knights. Andrew Johns, inside ball for Matthew. Last tackle for Newcastle. Inside their own 40, and they run out of dummy half over the 40-metre line. And Dallas isn't about to attack that football and lets it go over the sideline.
They're really into a rhythm here, the Newcastle side. It was the first time they've had to ruck the ball out of their own half for some time, yet they still played little plays around the rucks, got the ball wide, turned the ball inside and outside, really comfortable with their football. And when they get a flow on like that, they're a very, very good football team.
Yeah, I just think their go-forward's been better today, Phil, you know, especially with Paul Harrigan and also Tony Butterfield. Adam Muir have really got those metres up the middle, whereas the Norths forwards seem to just keep hitting that brick wall. They can't get through at all.
They've been great, the Newcastle forwards, all year. They lay a tremendous platform. When you've got forwards like that and then a pair of halves like the Johns boys, it's a recipe for a very good football team.
Norths on their 30. Getting plenty of possessions for North Sydney, playing a little closer to the action today. Ormo is exclusively now at left centre. With Caruana and Fairley running at Wayne Richards, who's able to make the tackle right on halfway. Very few line breaks for North Sydney in this match. Jason Taylor wider there for Florimo. He puts out the fend on Glanville, who makes the tackle. Two of the veterans in this match, Glanville and Florimo. North Sydney with Taylor, last tackle. The kick is for the wing of McDougall. He's got a little bit of time and McDougall handles it well and now takes off. This is Adam McDougall for the Newcastle Knights over the 20. Again, the execution not quite right for North Sydney with a kick. And Matthew Johns wider there for Billy Peden. He's running across field, cut down in the Florimo tackle. Inside the final 90 seconds of this first half, Newcastle with 2 tries, Bill Peden and Robbie O'Davis, both from kicks. And Newcastle receive a penalty here, so they'll be the last team in this half applying the pressure.
And Andrew Johns can't wait to get this ball out into touch, screaming at the referee for time off as Jason Taylor comes forward to try and waste a little bit of that time. And a very important 54 seconds here for the Bears. They must keep Newcastle out in this set of 6. They can't afford another try before half-time.
Seen on the replay that Fairley was appealing that he was having his jumper held. He was being pulled down in the tackle. Wasn't the way Jeff saw. So here it is, the last few plays of this first half. Newcastle 35 metres out from the line and spreading it straight away. Matthew Johns, 2 passes. They've almost gone the width of the field. Then for Craigie on the inside ball, taken by Taylor. Glanville is a dummy half. Glanville there with Muir. Muir is now 10 metres out from the line. Back for Glanville. Glanville for Craigie. Craigie across for Andrew Johns. Then the cutout ball. The Chief is wide. Wrapping around is Andrew Johns. Oh, they're directing traffic for Hughes. Hughes back for O'Davis. O'Davis gets over the line and loses it. Oh, what a play from Newcastle, but it comes to 0 at the finish.
Well, that would have been just the best try ever, wouldn't it? Some of the skill levels shown there are outstanding. In the end, Robbie O'Davis couldn't ground the football. The North's defence was desperate. They turned him over and he tries to get it down. No try.
Caruana was there in the tackle for the Bears, and the ball comes loose from Robbie O'Davis. What a finish to the first half. It's Newcastle, though, up by 8 points. The winner to go through to the grand final. We will take a break and come back with the second half with Newcastle 12, leading the North Sydney Bears 4. The Newcastle Knights players out for this second half. And the Knights up by 12 points to 4 as we take a look at the first half statistics.
We can see that Newcastle had just about all the ball, didn't they? That's an amazing stat. They control it very well. They've made the most line breaks. They've kicked the most. And let's look at the North Sydney tackle count, 109 to 90. That's why they're down on the scoreboard. And for the Newcastle side, Wayne Richards, plenty of hard work around the ruck. The big stat for mine is Paul Harrigan. Look at that, 11 hit-ups. All of them probably 10 to 20 metres every time he had the football. And for North Sydney, they've had to do a lot of tackling there. Stewart, Moore and Trindle leading the way. We're probably all down in hit-ups, but Gary Larson, the best of them there, was 6.
As we look across this North Sydney side, as they have returned for the second half, David Hall is on in 14. Brett Dallas hasn't returned for the second half, so we'll be hearing from Steve Roach shortly on that. There is David Hall coming into this match, and he's walking out to the right wing. Jason Taylor. It would be cruel to say, but in some way he played a role in both Newcastle's tries. Unfortunate for him. Wasn't able to cover up a ball close to his line for the O'Davis try, and then with a collision with Matt Sears on the second. So we're underway for the second half. Newcastle or the Bears 40 minutes away from the grand final. And the Bears are back with David Fairley to the 20-metre line. Well, Sydney at least can take heart. They have shown, as they did last week, they can come from behind. It's a different outfit they're playing today. It was an injury-torn Parramatta lineup last week as Icon almost through the tackle of Richards. Now Reba, dart for him. Albert makes the tackle. Nigel Roy here for Taylor, skipping out Stewart on the pass, and Sydney with his first possession. Last tackle it is, with Jason Taylor kicking from just inside his own half to the wing of McDougall, finding the line. So a 30-metre gain for Jason Taylor. And Steve Roach on the sideline. They are minus one of the Johns brothers now, the Newcastle Knights.
Yes, it's Andrew Johns. He's succumbed to that rib injury. I'm sure that he'll be back, but Dinover is on for him at the moment.
And what about the half-time report? What can you tell us what both Peter Louis and Malcolm Reilly had to say at half-time?
Yeah, well, North Sydney, firstly, Brett Dallas has succumbed to that back injury, so he won't be back. Quite simply, Peter Louis said, let's go at Andrew Johns. We're giving him too much time when we spent all week working on it, just allowing the kick when at will. So he said, let's really work on that. He said, put him on the ground. They're allowed to stand in the tackles far too much. We've really got to put that effort in to make sure that we put the likes of Chief and also Muir on the ground. He said, we've had plenty of luck from the high ball, and said, let's keep doing that. And dummy half runners for Newcastle. Well, he was very happy with the first half performance. He said, let's go through them. They can't handle us when we really go at them. Let's keep doing that. He said, let's keep going for the repeat set and be patient. Don't try and score off every play, and let's really concentrate. And he thought at half-time now, really, that they were lucky that it was only 12-4. These players are very confident about going on with it in the second half.
Well, Newcastle 40 metres out from the North Sydney line. Peter away for Matthew Johns. His first kick of the half. It may have just been deflected on the way through. If it was accidental. So it will be a North Sydney feed.
Yeah, well, it's interesting from Newcastle. They will never tell you the truth, but whether or not Malcolm really has one eye on a grand final next week and one eye on this game in leaving Andrew Johns off at half-time, there's no doubt he is injured. It'll just be interesting to see how North Sydney react to the fact that he's not on the field. Will they take it as an insult that he's being rested, or will they assume that he's injured and the game is as normal? It'll be interesting to see how North Sydney react to the fact he's not there.
But with Dinover out there, Phil, they'll lose something, Newcastle. Not a great deal. He's been in a pretty good form, Leo Dinover.
All they might lose is what confidence North's drag out of the fact that Johns isn't there.
Gary Larson is with it for North Sydney on their own 40-metre line, needing to score first in this second half. Reba a dummy half. Lineside play here for Florimo, although he heads back in field, through a tackle of Harrigan, then through another two. Strong run from Greg Florimo, now 40 metres from the Newcastle line. Reba, wide ball from dummy half of Fairley, deciding to feed on for Taylor, then pushing it across for Billy Moore. Only able to make 5 metres on the run. It's the last tackle for North Sydney. And it's with Butner kicking. That low ball for the corner. Will it hold up there? It goes touch in goal. And it's an easy stroll for Newcastle back to the 20-metre line. Butner not getting it right with a kick.
Now that's let Newcastle off light. North Sydney really need to get the Newcastle tackle count up there. We saw with Paul Borton and the statistics at half-time. They've got to get some repeat sets of 6.
Now Harrigan, nice slow tackle. There's now Peden for Muir, running straight. Well, there was a call to stay out, and Florimo, and then there was a call to stay out of the play for offside. And Jeffs also pointing at Josh Stewart. So Newcastle really getting a leg up out of trouble.
Just a thought on Adam Muir, Phil. He's always been a very good player, but I feel he's improved the back half of this year. He seems to have tempered the habit of every time he gets to the line looking to offload. And now he's actually trying to get through the line rather than hit and bump and trying to give it to someone else in support.
Yeah, I think all the Newcastle forwards have done that, and Adam Muir's been the best of them along with Harrigan. They do like to unload a lot in tackles, but they've really left it up to the Johns boys with the attacking football, and they've made the hard yards.
Here come the Knights. Matthew Johns there for Glanville. Glanville with a dummy as the defence came up quickly, tried to force that pass. North Sydney in possession. Early error from the Newcastle Knights in that count. And now Taylor, some counter-attack from the Bears. And Newcastle defence for just one moment was stretched. Dinover got across. And now with Josh Stewart, he bounces away from the attempted tackle of Muir. Wrapped up by Glanville, who have been hurt in that tackle. Sydney right on halfway. Is it going to happen again to the Bears? We said right from the top that, oh, now an error from Trindle, and getting up to his feet to play the ball, he blows up. I was just going to say, we said right at the top, 4 times now they have had this match 1 week away from a grand final. 3 previous occasions they've been knocked out, and it ain't looking that flash right at the moment at 12-4.
And Billy Moore and Gary Larson in the scrum there, giving some confidence to young Trindle. They'd be a great asset in a situation like this. I mean, it is sudden death. Loser is out for the season and the winner goes on for a grand final, but they'll keep their players concentrating on the job at hand. Great experience in Origin football. I don't think the Bears are done with yet.
Now Robbie O'Davis from dummy half, making 10 metres for Newcastle. Inside that Bears 30, they're all set to the right. They wanted to quick play the ball. Craigie there with Peden. Peden's had plenty of possessions today, running into the tackle of Larson. Just outside the Bears 20, Dinover gets a high ball. Misses Harrigan with a pass, finding Richards. Richards has found a gap for the Knights and tackled. 10 metres out from the line. Eichen had to come from behind. Dinover across with Matthew Johns. He jinks. Then the short ball for Muir. That was good defence from the Bears. It was fairly. They're down to 12, a man down close to the play. Matthew Johns, a left foot kick. It's push touch in goal by David Hall. He rushes out of picture. It'll be a North's line dropout.
Oh, it's good football, isn't it, from Newcastle? And Wayne Richards found himself in some space. A quicker man might have gone on to score. Richards is a forward, though, and there is the Johns kick. Just playing for time now, playing for more sets of 6 Newcastle, which they've done so well all game.
Matthew Johns, the centre of attention for Newcastle, with his brother Andrew off the field. A line dropout to the 40-metre line. It is with Butterfield. And they stand back and wait. Butterfield gets it to within 28 metres of the North Sydney line. Peden at dummy half. Harrigan is going to follow Butterfield forward. Harrigan to the 20. Back for Peden. Newcastle looking to come in for the kill. It's Matthew Johns with it. Wide ball with Craigie. Now 10 metres out from the line. Buettner in cover. Newcastle. 2 tries already on the board. Muir decides to run straight. Again, he's able to offload. Glanville is with it for the Knights. Buettner is there with Fairley to lock up the ball. They're only 5 metres out from the line. Johns at first receiver. Slips out Harrigan again. Dinover then finds O'Davis. O'Davis flicks the short ball and Richards is over, but it's called forward. Oh, that was almost the end for the North Sydney Bears.
Well, it might have been the end. You're right, Andrew. But just checking this pass out. It comes from Robbie O'Davis. I think that's all right. It looked like it might have even gone backwards. Richards looked as though he was in front of the man, but if the pass goes backwards, that's all right.
Sydney. Scrum and Nigel Roy in possession. Almost watching him as he walked off to the sideline. He has got problems with the right arm. North Sydney get a penalty here. That helps. Plenty of boos from the Newcastle fans.
Kelvin Jeffes really hinted that the marker wasn't square and got around too early to impede the dummy half run there. North Sydney losing the ball, but coming up with the penalty. They've just got to look up at the scoreboard and say there's 31 minutes to go. If we can be next to score, we're still in the game. We've been under a lot of pressure, but the points haven't gone against us yet.
Rendall has been and really put on his back from Peden. And also Butterfield, such a strong forwards performance from the Knights. North Sydney, some of their own. It's a halfway. Taylor is in motion. The North Sydney side with more. The ball pops loose. They're able to cover up. Reba got across for the Bears, so still in possession inside the Newcastle half. Hurtling forward as Fairley got through the first tackle. That was Craigie. 35 metres out from the Newcastle line. Comes across for Taylor. Wide then for Buettner. Has plenty of men on his outside. Sears is up in the line, and then Aiken is with it. Aiken keeps it alive. Larson, good pickup. 35 metres out from the Newcastle line. The dummy was in slow motion from Gary Larson, and it's the last tackle. Billy Moore at dummy half with Ben Aiken. Passes wide for his kicker. That is Taylor. There's the short kick from Jason Taylor. O'Davis has it covered. He ended up running a decoy. The call had come from McDougall. So well diffused between the two, O'Davis and McDougall for the Newcastle Knights. And O'Davis crunched in the tackle of Larson.
That's the difference between the two sides, the fifth tackle options. Newcastle keep North Sydney under plenty of pressure, where the Bears just haven't come up with the right play on the last tackle to get a repeat set, or to put Newcastle under the danger of making a mistake. Fifth tackle option, so important at this time of year.
10 minutes gone in the second half. No change to the score that we went to the break with. 12 points to 4. Dinova getting an offload from Harrigan. Then angled inside for Richards. Now the last tackle for the Knights. O'Davis, still no sign of Andrew Johns returning. Matthew Johns' kick finds space between Sears and David Hall. Sears on about the third bounce. 5 chases there for the Newcastle Knights. First man is the front rower, Tony Butterfield. Plenty of dedication and application here from the 31-year-old for the Knights. Still ran out of trouble for the Bears. They haven't had a great deal of field position right through the match. Down by 8 points. They play the ball. The player hurt. It's David Hall, although he's got a smile on his face. Now the trainer's there. It's a hold-up. We'll wait for correct weight.
Well, I think of all the people he wanted to run into, the Chief was probably the least at the bottom of the list. He's just smiling to himself and saying, well, that was a bit silly.
The trader ended up with David Hall as now Taylor gets his kick in. O'Davis is positioned beautifully once again, and O'Davis wants to run. He gets back as far as the 30-metre line. So Malcolm really suddenly showing some signs of tension. Why not? In a knockout struggle for a place in the grand final. Even though your side is up by 8 points. O'Davis, another run. What a return from Robbie O'Davis this week. He missed last week's match against Manly. Albert a dummy half. With it as Dinova had to turn to take the pass. Richards. Like an 8 or 9 man pack today for Newcastle. They've got plenty of value out of the players on the bench. Matthew Johns turns inside there for Muir to the North Sydney 40-metre line. He passed off, well, almost on the deck. Now with it is Fletcher. Fletcher held up. That is tackle 5 for Newcastle. Half is Peden with Matthew Johns. Steadied for the kick. Again, the pressure is on Matt Sears. The chasers are onside. They fly high. Newcastle get to it first. And in fact, Jeffs has ruled the chasers offside. Owen Craigie.
Yeah, Owen Craigie, the man he ruled offside. But what Newcastle are finding now, they're able to offload in the North's traffic, the North's defence, because they're finding the North's defence isn't stinging them as much as it was in the first half. North's have had an amazing amount of tackles to do. Craigie offside there. And they're just getting an extra second or two in the defence as they get to the line to look around for some support.
The Bears still tryless in this match. Their only points, 2 goals to Jason Taylor. He's one early from in front. And now Billy Moore. Taken in the tackle of Wayne Richards, or rather Adam Muir it was on halfway. Reba. Across with Taylor. Then with Sears. Can he find a gap? Matt Sears. Tackle count there still weighted. Defensive terms for North Sydney. I would like it the other way round. Oh, Taylor. He looked to run and was met by Bill Peden. He's quick to his feet though, Jason Taylor, but it was a good shot from Billy Peden. The kick there from Aiken. It's a little too deep, and Darren Albert again from just outside his own goal line. Albert gets through the first tackle. That was of the kicker of the football, Ben Aiken. Newcastle in possession, 15 from their own line. Robbie O'Davis now. It's over the 20. Geez, made some easy metres today, Robbie O'Davis. Plenty of touches of the football, but more often than not, it's at least 10 metres. Flat pass out of dummy half as Butterfield carries forward for the Knights. And Fairley was the tackler. Peden up for Matthew Johns. Then finds a second man play. That is Muir with possession. Good run from Adam Muir. Newcastle have done well to get it out of that 20-metre zone on this set of 6. Matthew Johns kicking on tackle 4. Back is David Hall, and he is only 5 metres out from his own goal line. Again, the Newcastle chasers there. Leading the way is Conley, and the kicker of the ball. That is wonderful work. In fact, it was Hughes who got through to make the tackle. They're really on top of this match, the Newcastle Knights. Hughes comes up with a double. And this time, penalty to the Bears.
Well, they like a fighter on the ropes, the Bears, but Newcastle just can't deliver the knockout punch at this stage. A couple of silly penalties, the last couple of sets of 6 have let Norths off the hook. But they've got to get a repeat set, the Bears. They've got to come down, and if they can't score, try and get the ball back on tackle 6 and give themselves another opportunity in attack. They've put no pressure on Newcastle to this stage.
Well, this is Pomeroy, tackled 25 metres from the Newcastle line. They need to score. 25 minutes remaining in this match. Still there in it. Taylor probing for the Bears away from Richards. Taken to ground in the Craigie tackle. He was looking to slap the ball out of the hands almost of Jason Taylor. Now across with Fairley. Some quick hands back for Michael Butner. A little closer to the action this time. Dinover went low in the tackle. 25 from the Newcastle line. And some quick hands for Ben Eichen. Is there a gap there for Eichen? There is. Eichen got through the first line. Fletcher was the man making the tackle in front of the Newcastle post. Taylor runs it up to the line. Finds Fairley. O'Davis over the top, a try-saving tackle. Caruana a dummy half. Back with Jason Taylor. Thought about kicking. Loose ball for Moore. He tries to kick it through twice. Unsuccessful both times. Bears maintain possession, but it is the last tackle and changeover. What about Billy Moore's 2 kicks, Fatty?
I didn't teach him them. But he kept it alive. That's the main thing. It's a pass gone wrong. Once, twice. And I actually thought that, I think it was Pomeroy was offside, but it was play on. And then Newcastle survived. And Phil Gould is right. Newcastle, they have probably outplayed Norths all over the park, but it's still only 8 points in it. And the Bears, that's the first time they've been in North 20 for a long time. They look pretty dangerous.
It's just a little ray of sunshine there for the Bears, wasn't there? They need to get the ball, though.
Did you see David Fairley hit that line, Phil? He's, I know he's crook, but the more he gets involved, the better for the Bears.
Johnny Butterfield for Muir. To halfway for Newcastle. Over to offload back there for Hughes. A broken defensive line. He was caught from behind Hughes. Taylor and Trindle were there for the Bears. Back with Dinover. Last tackle. So far, Andrew Johns hasn't been called back into the action since halftime. Sears running back. That's a good take from Matt Sears. Very good work from the North Sydney fullback. And now David Hall taken to ground by Dinover. North Sydney possession, but still 12 points to 4. And 17 minutes gone in the second half. Manly and the Roosters to do battle tomorrow. The minor premiers against the Phil Gould coach Sydney City side. So Phil seems remarkably calm as Fairley is with it. Over the top was Peden. Now almost lost there by Caruana. Almost lost twice, as a matter of fact. Then back for Fairley. He keeps it going across for Taylor. North Sydney attacking with Billy Moore. The short pass comes unstuck. Chance now for Richards. Newcastle 30 metres from the North Sydney line. On the quick turnover. Now Dinover. Is this going to be the knockout punch? John's wide for Craigie. Craigie is through the tackle. Looking to link up with his winger McDougall. He wasn't there, or at least there were North Sydney players there between Craigie and McDougall, and the Bears are in possession.
Well, they're getting the standing 8 count, the Bears. But still the fight goes on. And Newcastle getting a little flamboyant in critical situations there. They have to understand they're only 8 points in front. If North Sydney can score next, it's going to go right down to the wire.
And Norths now again, they're having to run the ball away from their own 20. Trindle had a look up after he was tackled by Peden. And then Caruana. Taylor pushing across with Florimo, floating that ball. Butner trying to get on the outside of Craigie. He's had a good game, Owen Craigie, in both defence and attack, the 19-year-old. Florimo is back with it for the Bears. One-handed take there by Larson. Larson has a bit of territory between him and the Newcastle try line. Offloading. And now the last tackle. North Sydney. What sort of kick will they come up with? Although there's a chance to run. Fairly stretching out for the Bears. Moore. Big tackle on Moore by Muir. Shuts down the play on the last tackle.
It's been the tackle of the day by Adam Muir was very, very well read. They all communicated there, the Newcastle outside backs, and Muir just handled it so well.
It may have been a one or two man overlap, but you would not see a better ball and all tackle by anyone. Muir's tackle on Moore. Newcastle in the meantime now inside North Sydney territory. The tired Gary Larson lifted himself off Dinover in the tackle. Harrigan the offload, forcing that pass. Johns on for Muir. There's a punch-up in back play. It breaks down now with Hughes. That's the punch-up that was. There was a bit of push and shove. Fairley was involved with Johns. And now with it, Muir. From Aiken, finding Eden, and now last tackle for the Newcastle Knights. Matthew Johns is in position at first receiver for the kick. Here it is with Matthew Johns. The high ball again. Matt Sears is going back. Now this time the chasers are onside. Batted back there by McDougall, and North Sydney come up with a ball. Nigel Roy. Well, there was a chance if someone was trailing through for the Knights. And Taylor. Counter-attack for the Bears. Butner on the outside with Taylor. Then back inside for Sears. Dinover gets across. So to O'Davis. Sears is through. 20 metres from the line. Dalbert coming across in cover. What a tackle. What a tackle from Darren Albert on Matt Sears.
And it's no try.
Well, Matt Sears can't believe it. A tremendous run down the right-hand side. He looked for all money as though he was going to score, but the stumble took the steam out of him. And Darren Albert has come from this side of the field in what probably he's run about 120 metres, Albert, to actually link up with Sears over in the far corner, and the replay will be interesting.
Well, no one can believe it. He was going to score this try. As soon as he got the football, looks like his legs took the corner post. Did he ground the ball first?
Well, I'm prepared to go with the touch judge's decision on that one. What a tackle from Darren Albert. Well, they say Shane Werrett's the fastest man in rugby league. I don't think Newcastle would swap Darren Albert for anyone.
Well, Adam Muir's tackle of the season didn't last long.
He's gone already.
He slipped off the presentation dais, and Albert went straight up there and took the gold medal.
You see now, here it is again. Look at this, beautiful stuff. And he hadn't grounded the football anyway.
Well, I tell you what, we've really given it the touch judges and in-goal judges in this final series, but in that one, that was 100% right in very difficult circumstances.
Yeah, the old grey bloke over there, Ming Dynasty, got one right. Good on you, Ming.
Okay, so Newcastle with it. Johns leading by 8 points, the high ball. So Sears a chance to score, now a chance to prevent Newcastle from scoring. Good take from Matt Sears.
That touch, actually, his name is Stephen Betts, and he's a good man, Betsy.
Steve Roach on the sideline.
Andrew Johns still having a problem with that rib injury. It would have been interesting to see had Sears scored that try for North, whether Malcolm really would have put him back on.
Harrigan came up with a big tackle on Danny Williams. He was slow to his feet. Then Muir proving a tough set of six, getting out of their own 20. Ball pushing on for Florimo, the left foot step. He registered 250 first grade games this year, Greg Florimo, but still no grand final appearance. Taylor puts it down. This is the last tackle. Newcastle should come up with a ball. Dinover is with it, but Jeffes has ruled a knock on and has ruled the changeover. We'll take a break at 12 points to 4. 18 minutes remaining at the Sydney Football Stadium. I wonder how our fans in Newcastle are going, the Newcastle fans. I don't know whether they're our supporters, but they're not home yet, the Knights. They're taking their time in coming up with a match-winning try. Harrigan, big hit there from Larson. He has thrown everything into this match, Gary Larson. The Knights inside the North Sydney 20. Matthew Johns with Wayne Richards. Wayne Richards running at the Caruana and Fairley tackle. Richards has tried to pass in it. Well, Jeffes will rule that the tackle was affected. The complaint from the Newcastle Knights is that perhaps the ball was stripped, but Jeffes must have called hell.
Well, he's actually saying that he's knocked the ball forward. Now, he gets tackled here. And look, from what I saw, the ball just came loose. There's no knock on.
Well, Sydney out of jail yet again. Scrum feed 15 metres from their own line. Heavy rain again here at the stadium. It was the wettest of conditions when these two sides played previously this year. And North Sydney emerged big winners. It was at Marathon Stadium. Right now, North's down by 8. Caruana going on a scamper that time. Muir with a tackle. quite had the impact he had last week. Taylor looking to pass inside. Oh, Harrigan has swamped Taylor in that tackle. The dummy did not come off. Florimo taken to ground in the Glanville tackle. It's the last for North Sydney. Only just inside Newcastle territory. Change in kicker. Sears was the man who got that one in. On first bounce it comes to Darren Albert. Well, Albert, what a tackle. You're still getting over it. The tackle on Matt Sears. One to get to him and then to get him over the sideline before Sears could force the football. One that will be looking back after this match if they make it through to the grand final.
I've got to say, I reckon Newcastle are starting to look very, very tired. They've had a couple of hard games lately, especially last week against Manly. I think it's telling its toll. They sort of changed their game plan a little. The forwards earlier were just getting to the line and getting the metres. Now there's been some silly passes thrown by the likes of Harrigan and Muir, whereas before they were controlling the football.
They went high on Harrigan. They weren't able to prevent the offload. Matthew John skips forward then for Mark Hughes, and now for Darren Albert. Can he find some space? This time in the tackle of Nigel Roy, last tackle. Perhaps a chance to run the football. There's some tied men in defence running back for the Bears. The last tackle bomb. It's play on after the kicker was taken out. The bounce, an awkward one. It goes through the legs of McDougall. North Sydney out of jail again. And David Hall has taken off for the Bears. Cut down from behind by Richards. 5 metres short of halfway. Fielded up there for Florimo. Then for Taylor. Taylor inside for Fairley. No problems with the ankle for David Fairley. He's been arguably the strongest forward since coming on. He didn't start the match. Stewart spinning in the tackle for Denny Williams. Now 35 metres from the Newcastle line. Ben Eichen in a dummy half. And Jason Taylor. Eichen was 5'8" in the first half. He hasn't been there in the second as Florimo's able to offload. That's a good ball, and now there's numbers. It's pushed along with Eichen. Forward ball, that on the outside. They're not going to call it. It's a try to the Bears. Nigel Roy has scored. Big down on the last pass, but Roy is on the board for the Bears, and it's 12 points to 8.
And here they come, the Bears. Some good play. Newcastle looking tired. They've just run out of troops there in the last tackle of this try. It's a good. What's this ball from Greg Florimo? He's played very strongly today. This sets it up. All the Newcastle forwards are walking on the other side of the ruck. There's no cover. Just had a question mark over this last an attempted trip there by Leo Dinova. It's been let go by everyone. No drama there. Oh, they're back. It's Oscar De La Hoya versus Hector Camacho. It'll be a points decision in the end. Newcastle cannot put them away. And they're back, the Bears.
And only 60 seconds previous to that, we had the bomb from Newcastle. An awkward bounce for the Bears, and it went through the legs of Adam McDougall, a pickup, and he just about scores in the corner. In the space of 60 seconds, it is Nigel Roy scoring for North Sydney. And now Taylor with a kick. From 9 metres in from touch to get it back to a 2-point ball game. Jason Taylor, 2 from 3. The kick from Taylor is well wide. I don't think he struck one worse this year. Here at the stadium, 14 remaining. It's the Knights by 4. Leo Davis on the restart for the Newcastle Knights. This one is going to go down to the final minutes at 12 points to 8. The ultimate prize, a grand final appearance awaits. Stephen Crow is on. His first tackle is a shoulder charge that has forced an error. So Newcastle go on the attack 15 metres from the line. Glanville is with it. Now 10 metres out. Butner over the top for the Bears. What about that? An error on tackle 1. Dinova gets a high pass. Then fed on for Crow. Crow is 10 metres out from the North Sydney line. Dinova's to the left side of the ruck. Johns is to the right. He's with it now. He had Muir in support. Matthew Johns just a metre short of the try line. Over the top was Billy Moore. Good tackle from Moore. Now Peden. There for Dinova. Shaping to kick and then finding O'Davis. It's pushed wider. Coming back in field is McDougall. Sears is over the top. McDougall is strong and pushed back as he approached the North Sydney goal line. Last tackle for the Knights. Leading by 4 points. Dinova's kick has found space behind the North Sydney line, and it goes dead in goal.
Yeah, great play, Nigel Roy here. This is the one Norths have been waiting for. The Newcastle kicking game has been so accurate all day, and finally they've dribbled one out over the in goal and given North some relief.
11 and a half minutes remaining.
Well, I don't know how quick Andrew Johns is, but I'll tell you what, I'd be taking a chance on getting him back out there. They've missed him their second half. They haven't played as well as they did in the first half without him there to organise. And 2 weeks ago, I think we had a game here with extra time. Norths and the Roosters. Are we looking at another one?
Larson almost able to offload in the Crow tackle. Suddenly he's the man in the spotlight. Stephen Crow. Shoulder charge forced the error from North Sydney. Last tackle here for the Bears. Stewart at dummy half. It comes for Taylor. Taylor placing that kick to the wing of Adam McDougall, who just refuses to pick it up and lets it dribble over the sideline. Will soak up some time on the scrum forming. But at no time did he attempt to pick up the football. Adam McDougall on this Taylor kick.
And Jason Taylor took a glance up at the clock, 10 minutes to go. No time for panic. They do need to come up with a mistake from Newcastle. He's planted that down over the touchline. He's going to make them work it out of their own end, hoping for him to cough up a ball.
And Newcastle coming down to the final 10. Dinova. And with Owen Craigie. Florimo and Buettner are the tacklers, and big forceful work from the Bears. The duo of Buettner and Florimo pushing Craigie back 5 metres. They're right in front of their own post, the Newcastle Knights, and again some heavy defence. Larson, his tackle over the top on Hughes, a good one. Larson with 25 tackles next to his name, topping the count for the North Sydney Bears. The Knights are on their own 20. Dinova there with Johns. Further along for Adam Muir. Again, good defence from the Bears. Florimo up quickly. So the class in the North Sydney side coming through now. But Newcastle remain in front by 4 points. Last tackle, big kick needed. They've found one. Royer's going all the way back close to his own goal line. Nigel Royer's with it. The chase of Newcastle is up there now. There are 5 in a line. Peden gets there, misses, but was doing enough to help Glanville and Crow make the tackle on Nigel Roy. And North Sydney inside their own 20. Elusive is Aiken. He gets over the 20-metre line. They're handy meters at this point of the match. The fans don't know whether to cheer or just sit back. They're on the edge of their seats right now, the Bears and the Knights supporters, as Hall spins at dummy half for Denny Williams to run straight. Close to mark, a good pick up there from Fairley. In fact, there was Trindle offloading. North Sydney through the centre, and Hall is tackled. 5 metres inside the Newcastle half. A quick play the ball. They're on a roll here. A wave of attackers coming through. Denny Williams again makes ground for the North Sydney side. And they're 35 metres out from the Newcastle line. Taylor, this is the last tackle. His outside men getting a chance to run the football. It comes wide. Buettner's kick has been charged down. Norths have lost it. Robbie O'Davis is with it for Newcastle. Well, they were in two minds whether to kick or to run the football. But the bottom line, Newcastle had possession.
Well, there's 26 very, very tired footballers out there. Hardly any of them can pick their feet up. The hard football over the past month is telling its toll. Only the strong will survive here.
Well, there's movement on the sideline because Andrew Johns is there. Steve Roach.
Yeah, as soon as North Sydney scored that try about 5 minutes ago, he went straight up into the shed, had another needle. They waited 5 minutes for it to work. He's back on the field now. David Fairley back for North Sydney too on the sideline, just about to come on.
Johns replaced Leo Dinova. Matthew Johns is the man who kicks. Off the legs there of Hall. This is on his own 10-metre line. Sears is in support. He's going across field and they were able to cut him down. And Norths have possession. Down by 4 points. They were knocked out in a similar match last year by St George, 29 points to 12. They get a chance today, the side that hasn't won a premiership since 1922, of getting through to a grand final. They haven't been in a decider since 1943. Florimo steps off the left foot away from Andrew Johns. Ball comes loose. Johns almost came up with it. North still in possession. 5 metres inside their own half. Tomery is with it. He gets inside. Oh, he is met. He is hit. That is a tackle over the top. There were 3 in there. And now Taylor kicking on the last, again attacking that wing of Adam McDougall. McDougall is forced back to his own in goal. The North Sydney chase coming through. McDougall has come up with an error in goal. He's ruled a knock on against Adam McDougall. Kelvin Jeffes. It'll be a line drop out.
Well, that's the call of the season for both sides. We'll watch it on replay. McDougall.
Well, he might be right. Although he's facing the other goal.
Yeah, that last little touch with the right hand did stop Did stop the ball.
And then it went forward, so he could be right. Close look.
He was very confident, Kelvin Jeffes. Yeah, one little touch with the right hand right at the end there stopped the momentum of the ball and forced it forward. The Bears.
Well, North Sydney, Gary Larson is with it. 35 metres out from the Newcastle line. Inside the final 6 minutes now. Well, it could still be extra time, although you'll just about back Jason Taylor. He probably hasn't had his best kicking day, but you've got a feeling if he gets another chance, he'll bang it over. Taylor finding fairly on that pass. Andrew Johns went low in the tackle. North Sydney really picking up now. We're into the 10th round, if you like. North Sydney with Hall taken in the tackle. That was Diniver over the top, so he was only on the sideline for a matter of 60 seconds. Florimo was in possession. North Sydney with numbers. Chance there for Buettner. Norths are over. Michael Buettner scores for the Bears. Oh, it's all locked up at 12-all. There is 5 minutes remaining, and Buettner has scored.
Oh, well done, the Bears. Well done. I mean, they've been down and out most of the day, but this is a defensive lapse from Newcastle. They've just hung off for a fraction of a second, and Buettner goes through some pretty ordinary defence. A high shot there in the end from Robbie O'Davis, and he would have scored anyway, Buettner. And the Bears fans, the Bears players, they've gone up as one. Michael Buettner, former Parramatta player, has been at North for quite a few years now. He loves to run to a gap. Nearly lost his head, but gets there.
Yeah, great play by Greg Florimo. He really held up the slide there. He looked over his right shoulder, and then with a nice cut-out pass on the outside, found probably the most dangerous ball runner in the North Sydney side. And Buettner's come up with the play of the Bears season. And Jason Taylor, well, if you had to have one bloke kick a goal for you to put you into a grand final, you'd back it to be this bloke.
Are you backing to get it, Phil?
He'll kick this.
Paddy?
Yeah, I'm with him. He's kicked about 10,000 goals in his career. This is the most important one.
Well, I've already had the premonition he'll get it as well. So this is 8 metres in from touch and 22 metres out. Jason Taylor, the kick. Can it swing back? It is wide again from Jason Taylor. He has missed 3 kicks today, and it is 12-all. 4 minutes remaining. Well, what a day for Taylor to miss 3. Only 2 from 5. There's the try of Michael Buettner. Oh, here we go. At 12-all, 3.5 now remaining. O'Davis, the restart for Newcastle. David Fairley is with it. Courageous performance from David Fairley today. He gets back to the 20-metre line. He almost lost the ball. Well, I had a feeling he lost it as he hit the ground. There was a few pleas from the Newcastle defenders. No call from Jeffes or from the touch judges. And now with Billy Moore over the 30-metre line, taken there by Paul Harrigan. Also on the tackle was Tony Butterfield. Well, what about this for a place in the grand final? Trindle is held up short of the 40-metre line. Now Caruana a dummy half. Will they kick before the last? Taylor passing wide with Florimo. He has really lifted in this second half, Greg Florimo. Matthew Johns went low. Last tackle, Jason Taylor stepping away from the chaser. O'Davis 15 metres out from his own line. Robbie O'Davis gets a kick return, and the chaser's there from Billy Moore. Josh Stewart finishes it off over the top. At 12 points all, Tony Butterfield is with it. He makes 10 metres on that hit up from Tony Butterfield. And now Diniver. With it is O'Davis. Making some pressure off the forwards. Again making 5 and 6 metres. Robbie O'Davis. Diniver a dummy half for Stephen Crowe. He runs straight at a tired defensive line, making 10 that time. Can either side get into field goal territory? You'd certainly back the confidence of the Johns from a long way out. They're now 40 metres out, make that 35. Fairley doesn't make the tackle. Newcastle stay on the attack with Muir. Stepping inside the 30-metre line. Last tackle. Matthew Johns is in position for a long-range shot. He's with it now, Matthew Johns. Here goes the kick from Johns. Is it there? Matthew Johns has got it. Johns is successful. The field goal. The one-pointer. And Newcastle lead by 13 points to 12.
Well, have they put him away yet? You'd think a short kick off from North. It's a great little kick from Matthew Johns from 35 out right in front. They handle it well. They put in the long drop out. And Butterfield can hardly go. He gets into the field of play now.
And does well. Does better than that. He almost gets back to the 20-metre line, Tony Butterfield. Low play the ball. Well, 1 point the difference now. Robbie O'Davis with it. North Sydney will have one last possession in this match. There are 70 seconds remaining. And with it is Richards, tackled on the 30-metre line. Again, a slow play the ball. Denver. Peden is with it for the Newcastle Knights. A couple of magical moments in this second half for Newcastle. The Johns field goal, the Albert tackle on Sears earlier. Harrigan almost back to halfway. Now the last tackle for Newcastle. Can they find the line? It is Dinova kicking to the wing. Back is Matt Sears. He's done well to come up with the football. From his own 10-metre line, he slides over the 20. Inside now, the final 30 seconds. North Sydney with the ball. They're down by 1. The wide ball, Taylor. Finding Eichen. Eichen's got support and he's outside. Can't link up with Roy. Albert did well to come over the top there with Hughes. North Sydney on their own 30-metre line. Trindle, he runs back to centre field. Crowers over the top. The Newcastle fans lifting their team. They lead by 1. The grand final is just seconds away. Inside ball finds Billy Moore. Taken to ground in the tackle of Bill Peden. Now the final 5 seconds. One last play for the Bears. Taylor is with it. He goes back. Now with Buechner, the short kick for the Chief. The Chief is off. Paul Harrigan with it. He links up. They don't need to score, but they will. The Newcastle Knights. Craigie scores with a couple of leaps. Then the aeroplane is entitled to jump up the uprights and over the crossbar. Newcastle is through to the grand final.
Well, I've got to say this. Well done, Newcastle, but Norths don't deserve that finish. They've gutsed it out. Andrew Johns, he's happy. Gutsy effort by him as well with needles all over the place. The last desperation play from North Sydney. The short kick from Buechner trying to regain, but the Chiefs had a great game. He was there to get it. And from here you thought maybe a safety first play, but Owen Craigie. Here he goes, it's Skippy. Skippy's out there. What's he doing, Skip? He's scoring a try. That's what he's doing. And they're home the Knights, their first ever grand final. They came into the comp in 1988. Here they are 10 years later into their first grand final. I'll tell you what, won't they give it an almighty shake? Whether they take on the Sydney City Roosters or the Manly Sea Eagles. Put it down, Skippy.
I don't know what you call that, but you could probably sum it up with the exuberance of a 19-year-old that knows his team is through to the grand final. Owen Craigie scoring the try before this year. He'd appeared in less than a handful of first-grade matches. Next week, he will be playing for the Optus Cup in the 97 grand final. Craigie scores his 12th of 97. And the North Sydney players as despondent as any team has been. And Dinova has this kick to finish the match, but Newcastle is through. It's almost the last rites, this kick, for the North Sydney Bears. Dinova having the attempt. So here's the kick from Dinova. It's wide as well. It doesn't matter because Newcastle have won it. The try to finish it off, but it was the Matthew Johns field goal that broke the back. 17 points to 12. So the Optus Cup is down to 3. North Sydney eliminated. Newcastle in the grand final. And Manly to do battle with the Sydney City Roosters tomorrow. And I'm sure there will be some tears shed by the North Sydney players. For the 4th time in 7 years, they have fallen 1 game short of the grand final. And for their long-suffering supporters, well, what can you say? It just continues. 2 premierships, 21 and 22. Today, with 5 minutes remaining, it's 12 all. And they've missed out yet again. So Newcastle through to the grand final. We'll take a break. Fatty will wrap things up here from the stadium. And Steve Roach will have our Nokia man of the match.